Face the reality. Have you ever encountered people who constantly test your boundaries? They interrupt you mid-sentence, drop subtle yet cutting remarks, or act as if your feelings and time are not worth considering. And society often tells us to smile and let it all slide. But not today. If you're tired of putting up with disrespectful behavior, if you're fed up with suppressing your self-respect and swallowing your pride, then this video is for you. Today, I'll honestly, and perhaps a bit bluntly, share strategies to handle disrespect without losing your composure or compromising your dignity. Get ready, because by the time this video ends, you'll have the tools to make it crystal clear where your boundaries lie. More importantly, you'll learn how to protect your peace without needing any justification. Now, let's dive into a powerful strategy. Strategy 1. The power of the silent gaze. When confronted with disrespect, the natural human reaction is to respond or retreat. However, in the art of dealing with negative behavior, there is a strategy that is both simple and profoundly powerful. The silent gaze. Why is the silent gaze effective? The silent gaze is not merely a passive action. It is an active, subtle, and powerful response. It is rooted in a simple yet profound psychological principle. People often feel unsettled when they don't receive the reaction they expect. Disrespectful individuals often seek a reaction: anger, confusion, or self-defense. These reactions give them a sense of control, bolster their ego, and sometimes even heighten their smugness. However, when you maintain a calm, expressionless gaze, you not only refuse to play their game, but also force them to confront their own behavior. The psychology behind the silent gaze. 1. The mirror effect. The silent gaze acts like a mirror. It doesn't explicitly call out the other person's wrongdoing, but compels them to become aware of their behavior. When they don't get a response, they begin to question themselves. Why isn't she saying anything? Am I doing something wrong? Your silence puts them in a state of discomfort, as though their own actions are echoing back and questioning them directly. 2. Regaining control. In a negative situation, disrespectful individuals often aim to dominate by pulling you into the performance they've created. But the silent gaze is your way of reclaiming control, not through argument, but by setting clear boundaries. I'm not engaging. I see you, but your behavior isn't worth my reaction. 3. The power of uncertainty. When the other person does not know what you are thinking, they lose their ability to predict. This makes them feel confused and prone to losing confidence. They may start doubting themselves instead of continuing to focus on you. A typical story I once experienced. During a meeting, a colleague kept interrupting and dismissing every opinion I expressed. He wasn't just dominating the conversation, but also speaking in a sarcastic tone, as if trying to prove he was superior. At first, I tried to explain my perspective, but the more I explained, the more overbearing he became. I realized I was falling into the trap he had set, a pointless argument. So I stopped. I said nothing more, leaned back in my chair, and looked directly at him. A calm gaze, showing no anger or confusion. I simply looked at him. What happened next? His voice began to falter. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned toward him. Eventually, he lost his confidence, looked down at his documents, and didn't interrupt me again for the rest of the meeting. The most remarkable thing was not just how his behavior changed, but also how I felt. I was in complete control of the situation without saying a single word. Imagine the silent gaze as a declaration of your worth. It is a way of affirming your value, not through words, but through attitude. You don't need to argue or justify yourself to prove you're right. The calmness in your gaze says it all. I am not easily influenced by your behavior. I know my value, and I do not need your validation. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "Other people cannot harm you without your consent." The silent gaze is your way of refusing to give them that consent. The next time you face disrespect, remember, you don't need to argue or prove anything. A silent, composed and confident gaze can break negativity, bring the situation back into balance, and most importantly, protect your self-worth. In that silence, you not only maintain your self-respect, but also leave a powerful impression. You are someone who knows how to stay in control and cannot be easily manipulated by others' behavior. Strategy 2. The power of silence. Imagine a situation where someone deliberately tries to put you down, perhaps through a sharp criticism, a passive remark, or a sarcastic comment. The first reaction for most of us is to respond or explain, but instead you choose silence, not the silence of helplessness, but an active silence, filled with strength and self-respect. Why is silence so powerful? When someone attacks you verbally, they often expect a reaction, an argument, a defense, or even a sign of discomfort. All of these give them a sense of control over the situation. But active silence confuses them. It completely disrupts the scenario they were expecting. Instead of engaging in their game, you send a clear message without words. I am not affected by your words. I choose to keep my peace rather than waste my energy on this. The psychology behind silence. The brain of the other person works based on predictions about your reaction. When you don't respond as they expect, they feel unbalanced. This weakens the power they think they have in their hands. The pause you create becomes a space for them to hear their own words. Without anyone participating in their game, they are left to question whether their comments or actions make sense. Disrespectful people often want to control the emotions of others, but when you remain silent, you stop them from achieving that goal. As a result, they feel that their actions are meaningless. To illustrate the power of silence, I want to share about a time I attended a family gathering. An aunt of mine frequently made negative remarks about my career choices. Comments like, "Why would you leave a stable job to work freelance like this? At your age, you're still not settled." In the past, I would explain or even justify my decisions, but this time, I chose silence. When she started making remarks, I simply gave a gentle smile and continued enjoying my meal. No explanations, no arguments, and no sign of discomfort. Something interesting happened. After a few minutes without receiving any response, she became uncomfortable with her own words. As a result, she automatically changed the subject without me needing to say a word. The pause you create through silence forces the other person to reflect on themselves. This is often more effective than any argument. In that silence, they not only lose their sense of control, but are also confronted with the consequences of their own behavior. Marcus Aurelius once said, "We are not harmed by what is said to us, but by how we interpret it." When you choose silence, you refuse to give any words the power to hurt you. It is important to remember that silence is not always the answer. When your personal boundaries are seriously violated, you need to speak up to protect yourself. But in situations where words are meant only to provoke, active silence is the most powerful response. Next week, when someone deliberately makes a negative comment or criticizes you, instead of reacting immediately, choose silence. Observe how your silence changes not only the other person's attitude, but also how you feel about yourself. You'll realize that sometimes saying nothing is the strongest way to speak up. Strategy 3. Letting go of the habit of explaining. Let's talk about a habit many of us have without realizing it. Constantly feeling the need to explain our decisions. At first glance, explaining may seem polite, even necessary to maintain harmonious relationships. But when you dig deeper, you'll see it's a toxic cycle that drains your energy and diminishes your confidence. Why do we often feel the need to explain? From a young age, we are taught that approval from others is a measure of our self-worth. When someone questions your decisions, your brain automatically interprets it as a challenge. To defend yourself, you respond by explaining, as if you need others to permit you to live the way you want. But this is the psychological trap. 1. Feeling inadequate. By explaining, you subtly admit that your choice might not be reasonable and needs justification. This undermines your self-esteem. 2. Opening yourself up to scrutiny. The longer and more detailed your explanation, the more opportunities others have to find flaws in it. This not only wastes your time, but also puts you in a defensive position. 3. Becoming dependent on approval. When you wait for someone's approval, you hand over control of your life to them. If they agree, you feel relieved. If they don't, you're likely to doubt yourself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't waste your energy seeking approval from others." Constantly explaining doesn't just drain your energy, it also makes you dependent on unnecessary opinions. I once turned down a promotion opportunity that many others considered ideal. Immediately, I was bombarded with a series of questions. Why would you refuse such a great opportunity? Did another company make you an offer? Are you sure this is the right decision? In the past, I often felt pressured to explain in detail. I would talk about my goal of achieving work-life balance, my personal plans, and why I thought the position wasn't the right fit. But instead of receiving understanding, I was met with more questions and a few skeptical looks. The more I explained, the more it felt like I was trying to justify my decision. Subconsciously, I began to doubt whether I had made a mistake. Until one day, when a colleague asked again, "Why didn't you accept the promotion?" I simply replied, "Because it felt right for me." No further explanation, no justification. What happened next? The person looked a bit confused, even slightly annoyed. But I felt a freedom I had never experienced before. I no longer felt judged or pressured to convince anyone. The psychology behind refusing to explain. 1. You maintain control. By refusing to explain, you affirm that you are the sole person responsible for your decision. This removes the other person's ability to judge or control your emotions. 2. Others don't care as much as you think. Most questions stem from curiosity or personal biases. Rarely are people deeply invested in your reasons. 3. You establish psychological boundaries. By declining to explain, you set a clear boundary that your life is not an open book for others to critique or evaluate. When you choose not to explain, you protect your energy while sending a powerful message. I am confident in my decision. My choices don't need anyone's approval. This not only preserves your self-respect, but also makes others think twice before asking judgmental questions in the future. How to let go of the habit of explaining. Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you live your life. Your decision is enough because you have thought it through and made it. Next week, when someone questions one of your choices, respond briefly, confidently, and stop there. Pay attention to how you feel and how they react. At first, you may feel uncomfortable, but be patient. You'll realize that letting go of the need to explain not only frees you from unnecessary pressures, but also reinforces your own sense of self-worth. Your life is not a courtroom, and you don't need to justify what makes you happy. Strategy 4. The art of maintaining distance. Have you ever felt drained after spending time with someone? Conversations that leave you feeling insecure, exhausted, or even doubting yourself. That's when you need the art of maintaining distance, a way to protect your energy and self-esteem. Why do we hesitate to maintain distance? Keeping distance often goes against what we were taught growing up. Commitment to all relationships. Society values longevity and loyalty, making you feel guilty for wanting to step away from relationships that are no longer positive. Fear of being misunderstood. Worry that maintaining distance might be seen as cold, selfish, or even a betrayal. Habit and familiarity. Long-standing relationships can feel like they're meant to last, even when they no longer bring value. But the truth is, not everyone deserves a place in your life. Maintaining distance is not rejection, it is choosing to prioritize your peace of mind. I once had a friend, let's call her Sarah. This relationship had lasted over 10 years, but instead of bringing joy, every interaction left me feeling drained and insecure. Why aren't you married yet? Is freelancing really stable? Living alone must be so lonely, right? Those questions felt like courtroom interrogations of my life. At first, I tried to explain, hoping she would understand and stop. But no matter what I said, it always circled back to subtle judgments. One day, I asked myself, why am I allowing someone to repeatedly drain my positive energy like this? I realized that I didn't need to cut ties completely, but simply change the way I interacted. 1. Extend the time between meetings. Instead of meeting weekly, I gradually stretched it to once a month. 2. Switch to texting. Instead of face-to-face conversations, I kept communication limited to texting when necessary. 3. Limit responses. I didn't reply immediately or ignored unimportant messages. After just a few months, I felt lighter, more positive, and most importantly, I had more time and energy for people who truly offered support and encouragement. Why is maintaining distance important? 1. Protecting personal energy. Negative people are like emotional black holes that constantly drain your energy. Maintaining distance minimizes this impact, helping you preserve your peace and clarity. 2. Making room for positive relationships. Spending less time on people who don't deserve it allows you to invest more in relationships that truly respect and uplift you. 3. Establishing healthy boundaries. Maintaining distance sets clear boundaries. It not only protects you, but also sends a message: I respect myself and you need to respect me too. Note: maintaining distance doesn't mean being cold. Especially with family or colleagues, people you cannot avoid entirely, keeping distance should be accompanied by politeness and firmness. You can empathize without agreeing. I understand your concern, but this is what works for me. Set gentle boundaries. I'd prefer not to discuss this further. As Marcus Aurelius once said, associate only with those who improve you. Maintaining distance isn't selfish, it's an act of self-love. You have the right to protect your peace, and most importantly, you deserve to be surrounded by relationships that are positive, respectful, and encouraging. Next week, observe who regularly leaves you feeling drained after interactions. If you notice someone depleting your energy, ask yourself, do they deserve my attention and time? If not, start creating distance. Remember, maintaining distance is not about rejecting others, it's about choosing yourself. Strategy 5. The art of holding your head high. Imagine a familiar moment. You walk into a room filled with scrutinizing gazes, or you're presenting an idea only to be interrupted by disparaging comments. Many people's instinctive reaction is to lower their head, avoid eye contact, or worse, try to explain and justify themselves. But there's a simpler and far more powerful strategy. Hold your head high. Why is holding your head high effective? This seemingly small action is actually a bold declaration of self-worth. By holding your head high, keeping your shoulders straight, and maintaining confident eye contact, you send a clear message: I know who I am. Your words do not define me. People who intentionally belittle you often expect you to feel flustered, avoidant, or withdraw. When you do the opposite, holding your head high and exuding confidence, they lose their power in the interaction. Let's break down the psychology behind it. 1. Disruption of power dynamics. Those who put others down often derive a sense of power from seeing their targets flustered or defensive. Holding your head high immediately disrupts this dynamic, making them feel a loss of control. 2. Body language shapes emotions. Psychology has shown that posture and gestures not only reflect emotions, but also influence mood. Holding your head high reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, and increases testosterone, the power hormone, helping you stay calm and in control. 3. Mirror effect. When you exude confidence, your body language sends a strong signal to others. They are influenced by your demeanor and are more likely to adjust their behavior to align with the confident energy you project. I once had an important meeting with a group of clients. While presenting a new marketing strategy, one of the directors, someone known for asserting dominance, interrupted with critical remarks. This approach has been outdated for 5 years. It seems like you lack experience in this field. What was he expecting? That I would become flustered or apologize? Instead, I chose to hold my head high. I paused, smiled, looked him directly in the eye, and said, "Thank you for your feedback. Let me show you the actual data supporting this strategy." The result? The confidence in how I handled the situation changed the tone of the entire room. I shifted from being questioned to taking control of the conversation. Not only did I win the respect of the clients, but I also felt a surge of confidence knowing I had upheld my self-worth without engaging in unnecessary arguments. When you choose to hold your head high, you create a shift in how you feel and influence how others perceive you. Reduce stress. A confident posture lowers cortisol levels, bringing a sense of calm and focus. Increase inner power. Higher testosterone levels help you feel strong and in control of the situation. Change the energy of communication. Others will sense your confidence and adjust their behavior accordingly. Holding your head high does not mean being arrogant, condescending, or trying to put others down. It is an affirmation that you respect your self-worth without needing validation from anyone else. It's not about proving something to others, it's about how you communicate with yourself. I know I am worthy, and I will not let your words or actions make me doubt that. The next time someone tries to disrespect you, try this. 1. Take a deep breath. 2. Pull your shoulders back and maintain an upright posture. 3. Look them directly in the eye with a slight smile on your face. Don't lower your head, don't get defensive, and don't rush to explain. Simply hold your head high and let your body language speak for itself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your reactions to every action. Don't let anyone drag you down." Holding your head high is your way of declaring control over your emotions, maintaining your self-esteem, and showing that you don't need anyone's approval to feel worthy. Remember, respect from others only comes when you learn to respect yourself. So don't stop at listening. Choose one strategy from today's video and apply it to your most challenging situation. You'll realize that by changing how you respond to disrespect, you not only protect your peace, but also inspire others with your inner strength. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who might need this message. Don't forget to leave your story in the comments section. I'd love to hear how you've applied these strategies to handle disrespect. See you in the next video. Remember, true respect always begins with you.